Time to meet with one of the good friends of this program. She has been on here many times before, always has great information for us, and we're so glad she could come back this time. J-Power Director, if we can see the lovely Lorelei Elkins. She is Regional Coordinator of Triad Air Awareness. Back for more punishment on this show. How you doing, dear?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You know, I know we've been dealing with snow not too long ago and cold temperatures, and the temperatures are, the cold temperatures are starting to abate, and it's sort of springy-like, starting to get spring. How do we get ready for spring? How do we reduce energy this spring? And I guess give us some tips on that.
Well, one of the most important things we can do right now is tune up our lawnmowers, believe it or not. I know the grass is not growing just yet, but it will be before we know it. And the lawnmower shops are not busy right now. I know I've had to take my mower in, and I've had a 3-week wait sometimes when it's really busy to get it running efficiently. Now, of course, the reason we want it running efficiently is because you have a whole fewer emissions if it's running efficiently than a dirty
I didn't think about
mower
that.
would be.
But now I would think that as someone who is an advocate for clean air, you would come onto this show and say, look, don't even tune up your gas mowers, throw them away and go get electric mowers.
Electric mowers are much less polluting, even though we're plugging them in. That electricity comes from the power grid, which is coal. It's still much cleaner than the 2-stroke engines that we're using. And we also use about, I think it was 8 million gallons of fuel in our mowers every year. And that's a whole bunch of fuel that, as Brent McKinney likes to always point out, those fuel dollars are not staying in our local economy. They're going to places that are often unfriendly to us.
Yeah, that's a pleasant way to say it. We don't get into politics or Lorelei, but that was as close as she'll come to that. Soccer season for a lot of parents, sort of something that's a big deal, going to soccer practice, going to the games.
Soccer practice.
Now let's bring this down to energy use, and I have a couple questions on that. First, let me back up and say, you sent me an email about water bottle usage at soccer games and soccer. What is that about?
Well, I don't know if you've ever been out there at the soccer fields when the kids are playing. Thousands of kids across the Triad are playing soccer several days a week. Right. Well, they each have their sport drink or their water bottle that they bring, and most of those are plastic, and they get disposed of in the trash cans at the soccer field.
I gotcha.
So we also have this plastic bottle law now, and they need to be recycled. Many of the fields are starting the recycling program, but it's an expense that you don't need to incur because those plastic bottles are expensive to purchase the sports
So what
drinks.
should you do?
Get an aluminum bottle, get a reusable plastic bottle, and just fill it up at home and drink it and take it back home and wash it out. Reuse it.
Okay, that's a good tip. Now, still on the soccer theme, what about transportation to and from soccer practices and athletic events and things? What can we do?
Well, we know the fewer cars on the road, the better our air quality is. So a lot of times the kids are right down the street from one another going to the same soccer practice. Coordinate with the other soccer parents in the league and say, hey, I'll take your kid on Tuesdays, you take my kid on Thursdays, and work it out. And
that brings me to transportation overall, and of course PART gives us the great suggestions for these segments, and I want to give a shout out to them with the logo and website, www.partnc.org. You can get all sorts of information on there, including schedules for riding the bus. But let me get a quick shout out also to the Triad Commute Challenge. Anything you want to say to remind people about that during this period?
Yes, we kick the challenge off April 10th, Saturday, at Triad Park with a walk race, a fun walk race, and to raise awareness about the effects that our transportation habits have on air quality. And we would love to see people there for that event. And also taking the challenge, you pledge to try a different way to get around just once during the pledge season. Get
on the bicycle or walk to work or take a PART bus. And I don't know if you can take a PART bus to some of the soccer practices, but you can certainly carpool, as we talked about before. And so let's put one more time, just in case you want to check schedules for PART buses or to check information about the Triad Commute Challenge. That's www.partnc.org. And I think there's also a link to Triad Air Awareness from there, right?
Yes, there is.
So they can get information on that. Well, thanks. I didn't know about the water bottle thing. That's good. That's good to know. Thanks, Lorelei.
My pleasure.
See you next time.
All righty.
We'll be right back after this.